Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Ware Brothers podcast. It is Sunday, September 17th, 2023, and we're back at it again after another slight hiatus. We're finally back. Brother,
Hopefully we're
what's
back for
going
good.
on?
It's
good.
going. How are you doing, Ken?
As always, we were just talking about it a little bit off recording here, but every time we come back, it's always such an exciting time and feels good to be back. It's like now that we have done this such a handful of times, I feel like it's like riding a bike, it's like getting back on it. It feels great. So I'm really, really happy to be back recording today.
Sometimes you fall down and you skin your knee or, damage your chin like I have.
Crack your head open when you get hit by a car.
Jeez, our Father.
Who aren't in heaven.
Not in heaven.
Because he's at home.
So for a little explanation for the millions of fans out there who've been clamoring for more videos from us, we've gone through a little bit of changes. That's why we had a bit of a hiatus. I had spent the last 10 years working at a car dealership, and a few months ago I quit my job, and I now have a new job working from home that I absolutely love.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So we've been using this time to kind of jumpstart, I guess, back into this. I mean, you were going through some stuff with work as well, and I think we just needed a little bit of a break so that we could kind of get into a better space.
Yeah, absolutely. As life does, it never stops, and obviously life takes precedence over stuff like this. But thankfully, this has always been such a great outlet, I feel like, for us. So I think it's definitely a good time to come back and get back into it and talk about a week that we've had.
It has been a week. So before we jump into this week, I guess, Ken, what these last few months, what's a couple of big games you've been into, that you've been playing, that you've started to play but not finished because you have a track record of that?
I don't know what you're talking about, but refresh my memory. The last episode we did was back this past April.
Yeah.
Okay, so just trying to think. So
it's been about 4 months.
So to our millions of listeners' surprise and yours, I have finished a game. I'm trying to think. There's a couple games I have finished. The biggest one I'd say was the brand new Final Fantasy game. Final Fantasy 16 came out. I 100%ed that. That I loved. I thought it was such a great such a great direction for the franchise. I'm a big fan. Obviously, both of us are big RPG fans. We really like the old school RPGs, turn-based. Final Fantasy certainly hasn't been a turn-based RPG style game for many iterations. I shouldn't say many iterations, but with the last few iterations. And this was certainly also not turn-based. This was an action RPG. The person who did the action combat for the Devil May Cry series worked on the combat for this game, and he kind of said that this was like a love letter to the previous games that he had done before, meaning Devil May Cry, but the battle systems that he's developed before. And I got to say, it was fantastic. The battles, everything about it, I just absolutely loved. I thought it was a great game. So beat that, finished that. Diablo 4 has come out. It's been out for a few months now. I played through that. Played through a little bit of season 1. You haven't played Diablo 4, but season 1 has kind of sucked. But there's a lot more coming through with season 2 in like mid-October. So we'll see how season 2 does. But played a lot of Diablo. Another game that I actually played and finished was Remnant 2, which was a big surprise for me. I never played the first Remnant game, but Remnant 2 was a really awesome third-person RPG that I played through and beat, and that was a great game. So off the top of my head, those are probably the big 3 games that I've played in recent months, I'd say. What about you?
The biggest one for me that I've spent an exorbitant amount of time on was Tears of the Kingdom. And it's kind of weird. From everything I've followed online, there seems to be 2 very diverse groups of people who loved it, people who hated it. I loved it.
I did not think that's where you're going with it.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I thought you were talking about the breakable weapons, but
well, I think that's part of the group that hated it.
There
was a lot of people I read who like started it and they were like a few hours in, they're like, oh, I just can't get into this. Like I can't. And then they would like talk about the breakable weapons. I know we're on the opposite sides of a coin on this. I enjoy the breakable weapons because it gives me a reason to like save weapons or like constantly like look for new weapons and use certain things depending on like the environment I'm in and like how hard of like a bad guy I'm facing type of thing. I mean, I love Breath of the Wild. I had, I think, a little over 200 hours into Breath of the Wild, and I was pushing close to 350 on Tears of the Kingdom.
Love it.
Only thing I didn't do was those stupid Korok seeds. I mean, I got enough to, maximize my items, but that was it. I mean, I literally got the exact amount I needed to maximize my items. And
I don't blame you.
Darn one. You know how many little Koroks I found afterwards that were like, oh, help me find my friend. I'm like, nah, screw you. Go find your own friend. I didn't want an extra Korok in my inventory if it wasn't going to give me anything.
I don't blame you there.
I gotta say, I loved Tears of the Kingdom. I will say the ending, I mean, I was like maxed out on everything, but it was pretty easy. Like beating Demon King Ganon was a walk in the park. I felt it was probably easier than the first one, to be honest. But yeah, that was the last game. I literally just finished that probably like a week or two ago. On Ken's advice, jumped into a new RPG, Dragon Quest XI. I am only like an hour or two into that, but I've been enjoying it so far. And I think previous to Tears of the Kingdom, I finally played through Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. Love that. I think I finished that whole game in like 3 weeks, and a handful of games before that. But yeah, Tears of the Kingdom. If we do a new favorites list, it'll probably crack my top 5. I would say that game was amazing. It would probably replace Breath of the Wild.
That's exactly what I was going to ask. You would replace Breath of the Wild with Tears of the Kingdom?
Probably, yeah.
It's funny, like even though I can't get past the breakable weapons, I could never sit there and say it's a bad game. You know what I mean? Like I could never say, Breath of the Wild. I'd probably say I played a good, probably 45-50% of Breath of the Wild. But it's a great game. It's fantastic. I love the exploration. I love the open world. I loved everything about it. Except the breakable weapons. It just was a deal breaker for me. But I could never sit there and say, "Oh, I hate that. I hate that game." You know what I mean? It just you can't say it's probably one of the best video games of all time. So
yeah, it's and I mean I think it leads into the fact that they were able to pull this off on a system that was 6 years old. I mean, I've read several articles where developers are saying they don't really get how they're able to make like that game shouldn't exist on the Switch. Was kind of like how they were explaining it. Not that I'm tech savvy enough to understand that, but I mean it was impressive. I mean there's no like real loading screens. Like you could literally walk across the entire map, and the fact that you had the sky, then you had the main area, which was identical more or less to Breath of the Wild, and then you had the whole subterranean section as well. Yeah. The game was just absolutely massive. But
yeah, I didn't even know about the underground area until you played it and told me. I knew obviously about the sky from the trailers and things like that, and the regular Breath of the Wild's Hyrule. But yeah, I had no idea about the underground until you played it. I thought that was pretty cool. So to fit all of that in there, that's a massive thing. And speaking of Tears of the Kingdom and just in Breath of the Wild, those two together, I just watched a YouTube video today talking about where in the timeline that Tears of the Kingdom is placed in. As one would imagine, it takes place after Breath of the Wild. But apparently what it does, according to this video, I watched it through, it's a relatively big YouTube like group called the Commonwealth Realm. They do a lot of Nintendo stuff, a lot of Zelda stuff. They've had a ton of timeline videos. So starting from Skyward Sword, that starts the series, right? That's supposed to be the first in the timeline, the first game in the timeline. And then you get Skyward Sword and I don't know what comes afterwards, but it's like maybe 2 games afterwards and you get to Ocarina of Time. And Ocarina of Time then breaks
that branch
into three different timelines. and then those three timelines they come together at Breath of the Wild.
Huh. I didn't know that.
So yeah, so the timelines can join again, and then you got Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, and then apparently Tears of the Kingdom like resets things. I guess I wouldn't know because I didn't play it, but the way they described it, essentially, it allows them to kind of go back and do whatever they want after this. So it'll be. I'm really curious to see. Do you think the next Zelda game? I know we're getting a little off topic here, but do you think the next Zelda game, mainline Zelda game, will follow in the footsteps of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, or do you think they'll go back to a more, kind of not streamlined, but more directed path, like like Ocarina of Time, Skyward Sword?
Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna go open world. They've already said, like, I was kind of surprised. They already announced that there's gonna be no DLC for Tears of the Kingdom.
That surprises me.
I saw a funny comment that somebody said, "Well, I think they've done everything they can with it." They were basically like, what's left to do with that game? And I'm like, okay, that's fair. I mean,
that's fair.
I know people had several hundred hours into it. And so they've already started working on the next version. I would imagine Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom were kind of a big leap for them in terms of the series. So I got a feeling they're probably going to want to try something, very different again, would be my guess. So we'll see.
Yeah, I just don't know how. I mean, I've always said I feel like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, this may be as far as RPG-esque things. I would love to see a Zelda game go even further into the RPG elements.
Yep.
But obviously I also understand that Zelda is its
kind of a sacred,
right? Yeah,
entity.
If you're going to do like a Zelda RPG, you almost have to, I wouldn't expect them to ship a mainline Zelda game with heavy RPG elements. I could see them doing like an offshoot. Okay, let's try a heavily RPG influenced Zelda game as like a side type of game. So I would love to see that.
Yeah, maybe like Zelda and the Gorons and all them have to go rescue Link somewhere. Just saying. No.
Well, what would be who would you play?
Zelda.
You would play Zelda?
I'm just saying, you're thinking of like an offshoot of it, so maybe that's the RPG portion of it. So she has to, I don't know, maybe she teams up with Peach and Daisy.
Okay, now we got Super Smash Brothers. This is what we just created.
Perfect. Great idea for a game. Anywho, okay, yeah, so you got way off topic. So we've touched on what we've been doing in these last few months. So how about you ready to jump into the news, I suppose?
Well, so speaking of Breath of the Wild, talking about everything they've done with the system, one could only imagine what they could do with, say, like if they came out with a Switch 2. And that brings us to the news, right? You see that segue? Yeah, you see what I'm to the news?
Wait, Switch 2? What are you talking about, Ken?
Well, wouldn't you know? Well, first off, the news articles that you selected, did you have any Switch 2 news?
I do not, actually.
Okay, so let me just briefly touch on the Switch 2 like news that have come out. So apparently at Gamescom a couple weeks ago, Nintendo brought developers into a back room, took developers into a back room and showed off and showcased the brand new Switch. So they didn't, apparently, according to rumors and certified leakers.
Certified leakers.
Our millions of listeners will get that reference from previous episodes.
New listeners, go back and listen to old episodes. It'll be funny.
it'll be funny then. So apparently, what they said was they didn't showcase any like the actual system running. They just showcased like a game, like gameplay, what the system is capable of. And apparently they showed Breath of the Wild running
in 60 frames.
60 frames. Yeah. And So apparently it looked really good. And with that being said, there's a lot more to it than that. But
Yep.
hopefully we will be getting word. Well, we were talking maybe after the first of the year, maybe after maybe maybe in a January Nintendo Direct or something after Christmas, because it does make sense they wouldn't want to announce anything before Christmas time because obviously they want to sell any
What they have
backstock they
left.
have.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I saw
So
something that showed was it a Matrix game that was showcased on the PS5. They were
oh
showing running at 60 frames on the new Switch system, which I guess was pretty impressive. So
yeah, because that's
yeah,
using the new Unreal Engine 5.
correct.
So so
Yeah,
yeah, so big things are coming out. The speculations that it's going to have like 12 gigs of RAM, and it's they're saying unfortunately that's probably still going to be an LCD screen. You would think because they have the Switch OLED that it sucks that it if it they're
you
going to
want to
go
come with
back to
that?
an LCD
I
screen,
know.
but we'll see. We'll see what actually comes comes with
What
it.
I would like to see and what would make sense, like I love the portability of the Switch. I know you do as well.
Yeah.
I play mine in the handheld mode 99% of the time. But for me, that's because like I don't really see a giant leap between handheld to the TV, and I like to multitask. I'll like watch a show or something while I'm playing. It would be nice to see if the base system would somehow like double or enhance, the
Hmm.
capabilities. Like I understand you can't have a handheld that's going to be as powerful as a PS5 or an Xbox X and S,
Yeah,
but
sure.
if you had the ability to be like close to that, and then when you dock it, it boosts the power and like gives it some sort of like maybe it's like a dual chip system where okay, yeah, it's running on like a single core processor when it's handheld, and then when you dock it, all of a sudden it like integrates with that other core system, or more memory, whatever the case may be, like a dedicated video card, some sort of system like that, like where all of a sudden now you have something that can be as powerful as a PS5 or an XNS. I just feel like that would be the most logical thing to do, although the only hindrance to it is going to be cost more than anything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And also, I'm just thinking of this now. When you mentioning things on top of the docking system, having
Mm-hmm.
that extra power would be great. I'm also thinking it'd be great if that docking system, if you could put in like a solid state drive, so that way, say like we have the obviously SD cards in our switches.
Mm-hmm.
If it starts getting to fill up, you dock it. You can transfer your stuff onto the solid state drive on that
Yep.
system and say, oh, I want to bring these games back, or new games come out. Okay, I haven't played these games in a while. Let's put this on the docking station, and then let's put the games I can bring with me.
Yeah.
That'd be a really cool feature too.
I know, because I mean, X, my Xbox, I think it has 500 gig hard drive like built into it. I mean, you're never gonna get something like that inside, a handheld Switch. So
I think you have a
yeah,
terabyte.
I
I'm
don't know.
pretty sure. I'm pretty sure the Series X has a terabyte. Yeah,
Anywho, it has a lot more than the Switch.
it does.
So moving on to your news. Speaking of Nintendo, and actually, you know what? I lied. I do have some Switch 2 news. It's the very first one on here. So an interesting piece, Nintendo revealed, it was revealed that Nintendo filed a patent back in May for new controllers that are going to use the magnetic analog sticks, which should hopefully end the dreaded drift, stick drift issues they've had. Apparently, it was like I said, it was implemented back in May. It just got revealed like a week ago. It got released. But basically, the current analog sticks, they use a plastic circuit board, which they wear down pretty quickly, and that's why you get the drift issue. This new design, it uses what's quoted as, it says, uses magnetic field to communicate movement, known as the Hall effect joystick. So essentially, from the way I understand, if you have a joystick and as it moves, it's using sensors to read how far away it is from each point. So it's not actually coming in contact with anything like the current ones are now. And that's why the current ones tend to wear out over time. So
I see.
that, which would be, I know it's kind of small, but they had a ton of issues with that, especially early on with the Switch. So it would make sense that this would be a point of interest to upgrade with the new system.
That'd be really cool. I feel like Nintendo has always had such a great handle. Get it on
Pun,
their
pun intended
on
on their
their
joysticks.
well, and just in their controllers in general.
That's true.
When the Wavebird came out for the GameCube, that was
That was
I mean,
awesome.
such a leap as far as wireless technology, which is it's something like I guess you wouldn't necessarily expect from Nintendo, right? But
Yeah.
I have to say, obviously, the Xbox 360 controller kind of revolutionized modern controllers as
Mhm.
well as being a very fond one. But I love the PS5 controller. I think they did a fantastic job with the PlayStation 5 controller. I love mine. But the Pro controller that Nintendo has for the Switch is really nice as well. So it doesn't surprise me that they're coming out with some new controller technology for this. So it'd be cool to see how it
Yeah.
works.
Um, interesting
Oh,
piece of news.
real quick, your Xbox does have a terabyte, by the way.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Glad you looked it up.
I had
So
to.
the new iPhone 15 that was revealed,
Yeah.
they are promising modern games to be able to run on it due to their new A17 chip. They're saying Resident Evil 4 remake, Assassin's Creed Mirage, as well as more. And this chip is promising ray tracing abilities and like several other improvements where you can literally run like modern day games on your iPhone.
That's cool. And I just
Yeah,
I just couldn't imagine playing like, oh, let me pull out Assassin's Creed, play Assassin's Creed on my little iPhone. I mean, it's
yeah.
like I obviously you get the 15 Pro Max and this is pretty
You,
big, but
you basically have a switch in your hands.
yeah. But
uh,
yeah, I'll take the Switch all day when it comes to portable gaming.
yeah, I hear you. And then lastly, on my news section, before we get into this week's Nintendo Direct, some interesting news that I read. I mentioned this to you the other day. Square Enix, a little bit of trouble. Apparently, since they've released Final Fantasy 16, they've lost nearly $2 billion. That's billion with a B dollars in value. It says they sold 3 million copies in the first week, but apparently it still was like below what they were expecting. They do have a new CEO, however, Takashi Kiru, and he wants to reduce focus from smaller games to more big budget games, which I mentioned to you seems to me counterintuitive. I mean, I feel like, go big or go home, I guess, but I feel like if you're investing heavily in these games and then they don't pan out, well, I guess that puts you in like in a bigger world of hurt, I would think. But I was surprised one that they could have that much value, that they were such a valuable commodity, and the fact that they've lost $2 billion in value in the last few months.
Yeah, I don't understand the like this day and ages I like what exclusivity, right?
Yeah.
Like I can understand, for instance, for instance, Naughty Dog, the game developer, is a PlayStation exclusive. They come out with the Uncharted series, Last
Mhm.
of Us, games like that. That I can understand. That is a PlayStation owned game studio. So their games they're going to come out exclusively for
Sure.
PlayStation. But games like Final Fantasy, where they're on both systems now, why have that period? I just don't. They should have
Yeah.
just allowed it to be on Xbox, so that way
It's,
you could have played it as well.
I mean, and even like they're older. I mean, because like now you can get Final Fantasy games on Nintendo as well. You can get several of their older remakes. But yeah, I can understand ones that are owned by the manufacturer. Like, obviously, you're not going to see Mario and Donkey Kong and Zelda on Xbox and PlayStation. But yeah, something like Square Enix, where I mean, they've already been on everybody. It's kind of weird that they would have that exclusivity for PlayStation. I mean, I guess I'd want to know. I mean, I assume they get some sort of kickback based on like how much, PlayStation is obviously paying them something to be an exclusive title on them, but I can't imagine that it offsets what they would lose in sales from Xbox and Nintendo.
Now, and did you go any deeper into that article? Did they say was it just mainly because of not
They
because of it being exclusive, or was it? Did they find that people did not like Final Fantasy 16 as much as they were hoping?
No, I think everybody liked it. They just didn't sell as many copies as they expected. So because of that, I'm assuming they're a publicly traded company, and so probably when investors saw that they didn't move as many as they'd hoped, pulled out
Yeah,
shares, and that's when
right.
the stocks go down. That's how they lost the value. Because they like didn't hit the numbers that they were projecting to.
We're projecting.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, but did you have any other news to add for this week?
Nope. Well, actually, I'm sorry. More on the Switch. This was kind of kind of cool. So in the Nintendo Direct that they showed, they obviously they didn't announce the Switch 2. I was hoping that they would, but they didn't. But
Garbage.
I'm sure you've heard of the YouTube channel Game Explain.
It's a negative Ghost Rider.
I'm sure you have though. I'm sure you've heard some of their videos. They do a bunch of Nintendo videos and a bunch of
Go on.
gaming stuff. But anyway, one of the guys on there, he pointed out that in the Nintendo Direct, specifically in the Super Mario RPG trailer that they gave and the Mario Wonder trailer. Okay, so if you remember in Super Mario RPG for the Super Nintendo, when the buttons would come up for you to select stuff, it'd be in the color of the actual buttons, like the dark purple and the light purple, right?
Sure. Yep.
And then in Japan, the Super Nintendo was called the Super Famicom, and
had different colors.
It had like blue, yellow, green, and red. And
I'll take your word for it. I'm colorblind, but go on.
That's true.
Like, why are these all black and white?
And so when you play the Japanese version of Super Mario RPG, instead of it being dark purple and light purple, it would be the colors of the controller. If you look at it on the new Super Mario RPG,
yes,
they are the colors of the old Super Famicom, the blue.
Oh yeah.
And so obviously the Joy-Cons, right? Those aren't color coded for anything. So it's like, are they just doing it as a homage to the Super Famicom
Japanese version,
or
is it indicative
of the new Switch coming out? Or is it going to be the Super Switch?
Super Switch,
like they have
SS. It's like Super Saiyan.
Ooh, well, you're missing a J, right? SSJ, Super Saiyan.
Super.
Yeah. Like Japanese, it's SSJ. That's.
Yeah, I never got that. Where does the J come from?
I don't speak Japanese. I don't know.
Steven, when you listen to this episode, let us know. Anyhow.
Where does the J come from?
He's like, I don't know. It's like, you morons. That's a good point. I did not. Now that you say that, I remember seeing the video. You're right. It was like colored buttons. That's a good call. Good call.
So I heard that and I was like, interesting. So I was like, the Super Switch, that'd be cool.
That
I like that too.
Nice throwback to the 80s.
Yeah,
in the early 90s. All right. So speaking of the Direct, there was a lot. I didn't say it was a lot, but it was a lot. Yeah, we were both kind of disappointed in this Direct. There was not a whole lot, but I got every game listed out here. We're going to run through these pretty quick, and I'm going to get your thoughts on some of these. Okay, Ken?
Oh, and on top of the Nintendo Direct, we had a PlayStation. We had a PlayStation State of Play as well.
Yeah, that sucked too, apparently.
So we'll go over that after the Nintendo Direct.
So Splatoon 3 expansion, spring of 2024. How excited are you for that? Yeah, me too. I've never.
But Splatoon does really well for Nintendo, so
it does. So
that's so I'm fine with it.
The better they do, the more. I kind of look at this. If you're Porsche and you can sell 1 million 718s, their Spider, which used to be the Boxster, when they first came out and they sold like the Cayenne, the SUV, people were like, "Oh my god, you're a sellout!" But because they produce those, it allows them to make things like a GT2 and a GT3. So I'm okay. You keep selling some Splatoons, and I'll keep playing some Tears of the Kingdom. One that I am excited about, which you were kind of, Mario versus Donkey Kong, the remake from the DS version. I never saw that, but when I saw the play on this, I was like, "This looks kind of fun. I could kind of get behind that."
So the big thing with that is the fact that it's not a new game; it's just another remake.
Yeah. No, I get you.
But
anywho,
looks cool. We'll play it
again. Our old listeners will laugh at that.
I hope.
I know, right? So we got Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown comes out. Oh, I'm sorry. Mario versus Donkey Kong is February 16th. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, January 18th of 2024. This, I genuinely am looking forward to. When I first saw it, the art style in the play reminded me a lot of Metroid Dread. Like you kind of went from,
I can see that.
A 3D games that they had for GameCube and Wii. And like when you had Metroid Prime, and now you went back to 2D, but it's like an enhanced 2D kind of art style. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. Horizon Chase 2 out now, racing game. Yeah, another game. What are your thoughts, Ken?
Yeah, it is what it is.
It is what it is. All right. Super Crazy Rhythm Castle. It's out November 14th. This, not only does it not look cool, I will definitely not play it. I've never gotten behind music games. I've never played Guitar Hero, any of those music ones. I'm just like, oh my goodness. It's right up there.
Have you, you've never ever played Guitar Hero?
I think I have maybe once at somebody's house, but I'm just like, I don't know, these like beat music ones don't do anything for me.
I love Guitar Hero. Guitar Hero is
It's
awesome.
right up there. I'll jump to it and we'll come back. How is this even a game? There's another one they listed on here, Trombone Champ, where you come on.
Trombone.
Seriously? Who was sitting around a meeting? They're like, we need a new game. Trombone Champ.
Well, this is clearly the new PlayStation head is like, yeah, we don't want games like this. That's why he's like, give us the big AAA games.
He's like, that's a Nintendo exclusive. That'll really drive him to it. Spy Anna Operation Memories. It's a photo album game, comes out next year.
Ooh,
this
my favorite
game made not a whole lot of sense to me. Super Mario RPG. I am so excited for this. Ken, I know you are as well.
Yeah,
I'm buying this day one. November 17th. Couple of new features real quick. You can damage all enemies with timed attacks. They have a battle meter for triple attacks, which is kind of cool. And they have a post-game boss battle. So
yeah, I don't remember. Did they have triple attacks?
They did not know. That's a new feature for this one.
Yeah, brand new.
Yeah, that's what that battle meter's for. When it gets full, you can then use a triple attack.
Yeah, that's awesome. I just gotta say real quick that
go ahead.
Hearing like the newly like orchestral music like redone of the soundtrack, it sounds amazing, and it just brought me back to my our childhood and everything. And I cannot wait to play through that game again.
That's a musical game I could get behind. We got Another Code Recollection. This comes out January 19th. This is a remake of Trace Memory for the DS and Another Code R, A Journey into the Lost Memories from the Wii. It's a point-and-click puzzle game. Yeah, have fun with that one. Ken, do you feel the same?
Oh, yeah.
Moving on. Princess Peach Showtime. Comes out March 22nd of next year. It's one of those games I'm going to label it as looks cool. Won't play it. But it's cool. I'm glad that Peach is finally getting her comeuppance. Yeah, we'll go with that.
Sure.
She's getting her showtime. Saga Emerald Beyond comes out in 2024. This is an RPG from Square Enix. Hopefully, this is a game that does them some good and hopes to bring back some of that $2 billion in lost revenue. In lost value. I mean, any RPG from Square is going to draw a little bit of interest from me. They're kind of they're the best, one of the best of the best when it comes to RPGs.
Yeah.
Any interest in that at all for you?
No.
Okay. That's cool. This one actually piqued my interest a little bit. The new Tomb Raider 1 through 3 remastered. I have comes out February 14th of next year, and apparently Ken just yanked the cord out of his microphone. You good? You back with us? Uh-oh. I lost him.
Nope. I'm back.
Oh, you're here?
So
he's back.
I ripped my microphone out of my headset out of my microphone.
Yeah, explain that to our millions of listeners while you were plugging it back in. Tomb Raider 1 through 3 remastered. I've never played any of the Tomb Raider games. It was always, I never had like I've never had a PlayStation, but it was a series that I'm always like, oh, I want to like check it out. I may see what the price point is when this comes out, or wait until it drops down for like $15 at some point. Have you played any of the Tomb Raider games?
I have not.
Okay, well, now's your chance.
No.
Detective Pikachu Returns October 6th of this year. Did you play the first one?
I did not.
Ditto. And I don't mean the Pokemon. That just came to me.
That was good. Yeah, I liked it.
We got I haven't played it. It doesn't do anything for me.
So you're gonna play the second one?
Definitely, maybe. No. We got Battle Crush, spring of 2024. This is an action brawler, and you can play as 15 heroes inspired by different mythologies. You excited?
No.
Okay. Ditto. Also not the Pokemon.
Also not the Pokemon.
War Tales, out now. This is an open world tactical RPG.
My favorite.
No, our favorite.
Our favorite.
Doesn't look cool, won't play it. Contra, Operation Galuga. Galuga comes out early next year. This is a remake, basically, of a run and gun classic. Everybody knows the Konami code. You gonna play it?
No.
And
now, if they were to come out with Mercs, that would be a different story.
Now we're talking. Everybody, if you don't know Mercs, get to your local arcade that has it. There's one in Laconia, New Hampshire. Actually, I do like the updated like art style on it. I mean, it's like a little bit modernized, looks pretty cool, but yeah, it's just not my style, my flavor. Game.
I feel like there's games that give me the headache these days. There was even watching it, I was like, whoa, someone's shooting bullets everywhere.
I know. Unicorn Overlord. This comes out March 8th of next year. A tactical RPG. Moving on.
So actually, like the art style and everything of that game, like it looks cool. Like it actually looks really cool. And then so I'm watching the direct, and I see, and like there's some like Fire Emblem. I do like Fire Emblem. I will get into some tactical RPGs, but I see that one and I'm like, oh yeah, that looks really cool. Like nice. And then I get to the end, that Unicorn Overlord. I'm like, really? Unicorn Overlord. That's the name they chose.
I know.
Yeah, because of that, I'm out. I'm like Shark Tank.
Unicorn Overlord. They're like, what are you playing? You're like, Unicorn Overlord. They're like, what'd you say? What? Like, nothing.
But seriously, it's like, no.
Luigi's Mansion 2 HD comes out next summer. I love the first one. We had that for GameCube. That's one I forgot. We were talking about games the other day. I did like the first one. It was decent. I never played any of the next two, but good for Luigi.
And his Mansion.
One of the big announcements they had at Direct was the F-Zero 99 out now. Play the original courses, machines, giant 99-person battle royal. I know we played the original back in the day a handful of times. We didn't own it, but it was a decent game. I feel like a lot of people clamor for it, but don't really know why, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I do remember we rented the GameCube game and played that once. But yeah. Falcon!
Bandle Tale. Okay, these next two were kind of weird. Bandle Tale, a League of Legends stories out next year. It's a crafting style RPG. And then Song of Nunu, also a League of Legends story that's out November 1st. It's like a puzzle platformer type thing. Neither one are up my alley or your alley, I'm sure. Nobody's alley. We got WarioWare, Move It, November 3rd. This is just a whole bunch of like, basically it reminded me of like Wii active mini games. You know.
See, I like the first WarioWare that I still am trying to get you to play, that's out on the Virtual Console for the Game Boy Advance. I really like loved that game when it first came out, but because of like moving the thing, and now I'm out.
Yeah. Yuden Chronicle 100 Heroes. It's a classic JRPG style, or 100 playable characters. It's out April 23rd. Yeah, that's a lot. That seems like it'd be too involved for me. I don't have time for that. I got time for Tears of the Kingdom.
I got time for 350 hours of Tears of the Kingdom. I don't have time for that.
All right, so we have Eastward Octopia, holiday season of this year. It is a paid DLC for Eastward. You ever heard of Eastward? You ever played Eastward?
Actually, no.
Okay. Is that like Eastbound and Down?
I think it might be.
Yeah, it's a spinoff. Wargrove 2 comes out October 5th of this year. A turn-based strategy war game. Battle on sea, land, and sky. All right, that's enough said about that one. Dude, this one, I am super excited for it. Dave the Diver. Oh, we have a special guest. Anyways,
cat.
Your cat. Dave the Diver. This comes out June 26th. This game sold me when it said you catch fish and you serve sushi. I was like, I'm in. A sushi game. How has nobody thought of a sushi game before?
I mean, Fruit Ninja is kind of. Anyway, go on.
Okay. Mario Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Passwave DLC. That is a mouthful. That's out this holiday season. I have not played any of Mario Kart 8, but Mario Kart's a great series.
Yep.
Enough said about that. And there's a new map for Among Us, the fungal map that's out this October. And last but not least, the other big reveal from this Nintendo Direct, Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door remake out sometime next year. They don't give us a date, just sometime next year. Yeah, that was a pretty big letdown. I got to say, the only things I was really kind of like, wow, that's cool, but stuff I already knew about was, Mario versus Donkey Kong, Prince of Persia game looks pretty cool, Super Mario RPG, which we already know about, and yeah, Paper Mario: Thousand Year Door. I resented Paper Mario for so long because it followed Super Mario RPG, and I was just so angry and didn't quite understand the backdoor politics as to what was going on. But I actually played Paper Mario, the original one for the N64 on Switch Online, and I loved it. And now I can't wait to play the rest of them. It's still no Super Mario RPG, but I liked it way more than I thought I would.
Yeah, I still haven't played any Paper Mario games, but I know you did talk really highly of the N64 one.
In terms of gameplay, it's a lot of fun. There was a lot of like cool, innovative things that they brought. But like the art style, I'm like, it bugs me.
Yeah. Now the remake of Thousand Year Door, and I believe in the Paper Mario community, Thousand Year Door is touted as like the best of the Paper Mario games. I believe. I'm pretty sure people really, really like that one. And it looks really cool. I won't play it, but it looks really cool.
But Ken, there's no breakable weapons in it.
Yeah, that's fine. I hate paper. I'm just not a paper guy.
Yeah, like if only everything wasn't made out of paper, I'd totally play it.
I'd be in.
I mean, if it was Super Mario RPG 3, I'd play it.
I'd play it.
Thanks a lot, Square.
What happened to 2?
That was the original Paper Mario.
Oh.
Square. I appreciate Square for things like Final Fantasy and Chrono Trigger. How dare you ruin everything after Super Mario RPG, you sons of biscuits.
Now, with the Direct being the way it was, the biggest takeaway that we had talked about it earlier last week after the Direct is that given the fact that there was no games, there was no brand, every single game that was talked about in the Direct, we either had already seen before or had already heard rumors that it was going to be coming out. There had already been rumors that they were going to remake Thousand Year Door. So even though that was the big reveal, every other game that we had seen, we've heard, we've heard about. So to me and to us, from what we were talking about earlier in the week, you can kind of see that the Nintendo Switch is kind of ramping down.
Yeah.
So
that's not a bad thing. I mean,
no, of course not.
It's had a great run with some probably some of the best games in Nintendo's library have come with the Switch. I would say a large majority of Nintendo fans prior to the Switch would you say Super Nintendo or N64 had a better library of games?
Oh, Super Nintendo.
I would probably say so as well. I think the Switch probably rivals that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, it rivals it, if not better.
Surpasses it.
Yeah, just because of the virtual console stuff. Now, obviously, even with that being said, the Switch virtual console is still, a shell of what was on the virtual console on the DS. Yeah, and the 3DS, which, as far as they need to do a whole lot more. I really hope that with the next Switch coming out, the virtual console gets a big boost in games. I would love to see that.
They just took everything. You and I have talked about this before, but they just took basically down the whole shop where you could buy stuff. I've been saying this for years, and I know you and I have talked about this. I like that they have certain games that you can do like Switch Online as part of a membership, but I would rather have here's a list of everything in our library, and it's $1 for Nintendo games. It's $3 for a Super Nintendo game. It's $5 for an N64 game. Whatever you want to tier it at, and you can buy whatever you want. That I swear they'd make way more money doing that. And I can't imagine it'd be all that difficult because all they're doing is emulating the stuff that's already there. It's not like you have to like rewrite the entire code for a game,
You're right. Yeah, I would think it'd be relatively simple. And again, that's coming from two guys who don't know how any of this stuff works.
Yeah, I don't know anything about programming.
But it's simple. It's simple.
It's easy.
Easy.
I know people who can just download a game right to their computer and play it on an emulator.
I've heard stuff about that. I've never experienced it, but I know it's a thing.
It is.
So
I've never done it.
All the games that we've played have all been games that we have owned.
Exactly.
Obviously.
Yeah, I've never used an emulator or a ROM. I've just heard amazing things about them.
Yeah, great things. Save states, great.
Oh yeah, love save states.
But
there are a myriad of games that I have no idea how normal human beings beat them without a save state. Just saying.
Yeah. So anything more about the Direct?
Nope. I think we've said everything we can say about it. It was what it was. I'm not going to really poo-poo on Nintendo because for the most part they do things very well. But there wasn't really anything all that exciting about this Direct, to be honest with you.
No, and I'm looking forward to what's coming in 2024.
Yes,
and for the RPG. For the Super Mario RPG.
Yes. You had some stuff you want to mention about the PlayStation?
Yeah, so the PlayStation State of Play happened the same day later, but in the evening, and it was for me, and I think for a lot of people, was kind of a letdown. It really didn't have too much in the way, so I'm just going to go through this really quick. It opened up with a game called Baby Steps. It was a really strange game. I don't even want to. No, actually, it's about a guy and you're like trying to walk, but you wake up like on a mountain, and like you're just like it looks like you're like slowly trying to walk, and you're trying to like get around the mountain and stuff. But
take baby steps.
Yeah, it was very interesting.
Okay, I see where they're going with that.
Roblox is coming to PS4, not PS5. It's coming to PS4 on October 10th.
Don't tell Braden. My son Braden loves Roblox.
Yeah, I heard it's a big smash hit.
We got into an argument because he asked me a few months ago to look up the top 100 of video games, and he's like, I swear it's going to be number one. I'm like, Roblox is not even going to be in the top 100. So I Googled, I went to IGN.com and looked at the top 100, and I read him all 100 games, and I'm like, see, no Roblox. It's not on there. I'm literally having this argument with, at the time, was like a 6-year-old. And finally, at the end of it, as any 6-year-old would, he goes, look up top 200. I'm like, really? I was like, you're so smart. I was like, no, we're done with this conversation.
Look up top 200. That's really funny.
He was so mad. And he's just like, look up top 200. I'm sorry. Go on.
No, you're fine. So after that, we got Ghostbusters: Rise of the Ghost Lords dropping on the PSVR 2 on October 26th. Another title coming to the PSVR 2 is Resident Evil 4. It's finally getting the VR update coming in it just says winter of 2023. So,
right around the corner.
January, February. Then we have Resident Evil 4 Separate Ways DLC, which I believe is a remake. I believe the Separate Ways DLC was a DLC that was already on for the original PlayStation, the original Resident Evil 4. That's where you play as Ada Wong.
Yep.
If I believe I'm right, that is Ada Wong.
Right.
I'm just making a joke.
Is that like Ada Wright?
No, it's Ada Wong. I believe I'm right. Anyway, aside, a free Mercenaries update, which again, I think they had a Mercenaries update for the original Resident Evil 4 as well. They showcased a story trailer, showed off some fresh gameplay for the new Avatar game, and that's the Avatar as in James Cameron Avatar, not the
Last
cartoon.
Airbender.
Yeah, not the Last Airbender. I think I'd prefer a Last Airbender video game. But to be honest with you, I have never actually fully seen Avatar: The Last Airbender. No, I'm sorry, Avatar, James Cameron Avatar.
I saw the first one, and then I made the mistake of watching the second one, and then like 3 days after I watched the second one, I was over at my girlfriend's house and she's like, "Oh, the kids want to watch the second Avatar movie." I'm like, "Yay! That's 6 hours of my life. I'm not getting back between the two." It was good the second time around. Yeah. I think I was playing a video game when I watched the first time, and I missed like a bunch of it, and then I'm like, "Oh, this makes a lot more sense when I'm paying attention."
Oh, that's who that person is.
I'm like, "Oh, why are these guys in blue?" I was very confused actually when I watched the second one, so it was worthwhile watching it a second time.
Oh, there you go. Well, good.
Go on.
So then they have Ghost Runner 2. Looks like one of the best first-person games of the year, and you can try the demo now. Says this is from Games Radar. I have not tried the demo, but I might try. Well,
Go on. What's it called?
Ghost Runner 2.
Is it only on PlayStation?
That's a good question. I don't know. I was gonna say I generally these days I tend to only stick to first-person shooters on the PC, just because keyboard and mouse with first-person shooters.
Yeah,
my bread and butter. It's really tough to go back to controller.
It's my butter and bread.
It's my toast and jam.
It's my peanut butter and fluff.
I mean, go on bread, right? Bread, peanut butter. Yeah. Anywho, it's my applesauce and sausages. Isn't that a thing? Applesauce and sausages.
That sounds disgusting.
Really? Applesauce and sausages. Oh no, I'm thinking of applesauce and pork. No, I think some people do applesauce and sausages. Applesauce and pork is a thing, though.
Yes, it is.
It's good. Do you not like applesauce?
I do actually like applesauce.
You like sausages?
I'm a bacon fan. I'll take bacon
over sausage guy?
Not really. I used to when I was a kid. This is very off topic, but something like if it's in something, I'll eat it. Like I'm not like, oh, get away from me. But if I have the choice between like sausage and bacon 100% of the time.
I mean, I like bacon too, but
I mean, if you were to take like a nice biscuit, put an egg on it, some sausage, and also layer it with bacon, sweet home Alabama, baby.
But like the nice big like country style like maple sausages. Oh man, yeah, that's good.
Go on.
Anywho, back to video games. Three new PS5 cover plates were revealed. Whoa! Watch out!
Like a cover plate.
Yeah, like a blue one. Yeah, kind of like a pinkish red one. It pretty much just changed the color of a PS5. That's all it does.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like a game. I was like, cover plate. I'm like, what is this? Is that like a cover song? Game. I was like, well, no. I was like, is it like a cover song, but like for video games? I was like, is somebody else making the game? I was very confused for a minute. You mean the actual like skin of the PlayStation?
Yeah. So like those side panels can come off.
Okay.
And then you can put the new side panels on, different color.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Next, they had Helldivers 2. Showed off some proper co-op gameplay, and it got delayed to 2024.
Is that the sequel to Dave the Diver? Do they also make sushi?
Yes, actually, that is exact. Yeah, but in 4K this time, because it's on the PS5. They showcased the Marvel Spider-Man 2. It introduced web wing fast travel to get you around the biggest map ever.
Wow!
I never played Marvel Spider-Man or like Miles Morales, but they got really good reviews. Obviously, the graphics on it look awesome. I believe this is a PlayStation exclusive game, the Spider-Man series. So they look really cool. I mean, I'm a fan of Spider-Man, but just not a game that I would spend money on.
Yeah.
Next, this one I am really, really kicking myself over. So they showed DLC content for Tales of Arise. Now, when I bought the PS5,
go on.
The first game that I bought for it was Tales of Arise, and I played through Tales of Arise, and I 100%ed Tales of Arise, and I looked up that I could have sworn that they said that there was no plans to do DLC content for Tales of Arise. And so I deleted Tales of Arise off of my PlayStation because they weren't going to do DLC content for it. They just announced DLC content for Tales of Arise. So this is a game that I put like over 100 hours into. And
so I know like on the Switch, Like if you download a game, you can delete it and then re-download it. Can you re-download this? But will it just not have any of your like save data, or will you have to pay to like download it over again?
Oh God, no! I can definitely re-download it. I
But
just
it's not
don't think
gonna.
it. I don't believe it will have any of my save data
It wouldn't have like stored it in the
in
mythical cloud.
in the cloud. It may have. I gotta check.
Okay,
But my fear is,
it's
my
gotcha.
save data is gone.
Now is this part of like the Tales series, like Tales of Fantasia?
Correct.
That
Yeah.
one. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
It was an awesome, really, really, really
Mm.
awesome RPG that I completed. Next they had
Miracle.
Honkai Star Rail, which is coming to the PS5. I believe this is a similar. Our fans are probably going to kill me because it probably has nothing to do with it, but it's similar to. I'm sure you've heard of Genshin Impact.
Yes.
I think it's like a gotcha game, kind of like that. That's on. Pretty sure you can play it on like mobile. You can play it on a whole bunch of systems, but Star Rail is coming to the PS5 in October. Foam Stars is having an open beta party. This got revealed back, I want to say maybe at the start of the summer during like when E3 normally was. I believe this got revealed back then. It is essentially Splatoon, but for the PlayStation. It's like their own take on
type.
pretty much. But instead of paint, you're using foam, colored foam. Yeah.
Rip off.
Yeah. So there's that. And then the biggest thing, the last thing and the biggest thing from the PlayStation State of Play was the release date and more showcasing for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. That's the sequel to Final Fantasy VII Remake, and which we know is going to be a trilogy of games. So this is going to be the second in the trilogy.
Cool. Very nice. What's the big date?
So the big date is February 29th.
Leap year.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
It's a good thing it came out in 2024. We'd have to wait 4 years for the sucker to come out.
I know. Jeez. So So the really cool thing is in this trailer they showcased Red 13 playable, which I'm pretty sure we've seen Red 13 playable before. They showcased Kate Sith playable. They showcased Vincent. They revealed Vincent at the end of the trailer. Not playable. You just see him come out of the coffin. So who knows if we'll actually be able to like use him in this game or not. But they did showcase him. They showed us at the Gold Saucer. A bunch of the mini games are coming back from the original Final Fantasy VII. So it looks awesome. They showed us, like the chocobos that we could ride different chocobos. The chocobo racing is going to be back and all that. So it's is really, really cool. Really excited for that game. And that was it. It was relatively short. And yeah, it was, like I said, a lot of people kind of found it as a letdown. I was really hoping for bigger reveals from it. Such as like a PlayStation 5 Slim.
Ooh.
That didn't get revealed.
No,
but
of course not. Neither did a Switch 2, so that's okay.
That's true. The other thing that didn't get revealed, which we may see, fingers crossed, is we have the Tokyo Game Show this coming Thursday through the weekend. And the biggest thing that I'm looking forward to is hopefully the next mainline Monster Hunter game to be revealed. So Capcom has a panel that they're going to be doing on Thursday. So fingers crossed that we get a reveal for the next line Monster Hunter game. But I know this was really long-winded, but that was the news for the week.
There was a lot that happened this week. Good Lord.
Yeah, with the PlayStation showcase and the Nintendo Direct. Yeah, it was quite a bit of information. But with that being said, we can now move on to the games of the week that are coming out this coming week, starting with tomorrow.
What do we got?
So, starting off, we have Gloomhaven, which is out for the Switch, PlayStation 4 and 5, and the Xbox series of consoles. As I said, coming out tomorrow, September 18th. Lead your band of mercenaries in the land of Gloomhaven. Work with unsavory individuals. Shape the fate of the region. Fight your way through horrific places and get rich or die trying in this ruthless tactical RPG.
Isn't that life? Get rich or die trying. I mean, if you don't get rich, you die trying.
I mean, I think there's some people that like. I guess I can't necessarily say I'm like trying to get rich. You know what I mean? Like if I was
True.
trying to get rich, I'd try harder. I guess.
You'd be an unruly individual.
I'm just trying to
Gloomhaven.
survive, man.
I know, right? What style of gameplay did you say this was?
Right up your alley, tactical RPG.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Moving on. Okay, I take back everything I said about this game. I wish I had pasted a cool thing on it. Go on.
So
Whatever.
next, we have a game that you've probably heard of before, a little fighting game called Mortal Kombat.
It rings a bell. Did they make a movie about this? Wait, is the video game based on the movie?
It is actually, yes. Thought it was maybe a book first, but this Mortal Kombat that's coming out is Mortal Kombat 1. And this is
so it's the first in the series, Ken?
So it's another reboot to the series, I guess. So it's coming out for the PC, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and Switch. So it's leaving the last gen consoles behind, although it is coming out for the Switch. But like you're not going to have it for the Xbox Series. I'm sorry, it does say S and X, but it's just not going to be on the PlayStation 4. So.
Okay. Wait, when you say it's a reboot, is it? I haven't seen. I keep seeing people talk about Mortal Kombat 1, and I'm like, what is this? Like 1992? Like, what are we going here? So are they like paring it back down to like a core group of combatants?
Well, Taylor, my brother, let me read you the description.
I have a fly in here. Sorry.
You fly. So it says Mortal Kombat 1 is an upcoming fighting game developed by NetherRealm Studios and published by Warner Brothers Games. It will be the 12th main installment in the Mortal Kombat series, serving as both a sequel to Mortal Kombat 11 and the series' second reboot following Mortal Kombat.
Okay, that's all. So they don't tell you how many characters? I mean, I guess it makes sense. I mean, like 100 years from now, if you're still, we're on like Gen 50, and they're like, Mortal Kombat 119. You're like,
yeah. So it looks cool.
We love fighting games.
Won't play it.
I do like fighting games. I'm just not very good at them.
I do like same thing. I really like fighting games as well, but I'm not good at them. But funny, we should bring some fighting games up. That we'll touch more on that a little later.
Now
we have another game that's coming out called Lies of P. I think that's just. I mean, it's just literally just the letter P. So lies. Like, lies.
It's just like lies. Lies
of lies. Live alive. Live a live. What was it really again? Live alive.
Yes, because I was like, isn't it live a live? And you're like, live alive. And I'm like, that sounds just as bad. That's like neither one of those make any sense.
No. It was a good game though, right?
It was, yeah. Oh.
So Lies of P.
I'm sorry.
Comes out for the PC, PlayStation 4 and 5, and the Xbox One and Series X and S.
No Switch.
So no Switch. Comes out on September 19th. It says Lies of P is a thrilling Souls-like that takes the story of Pinocchio, turns it on its head, and sets it against the dark, elegant backdrop of Belle Epoch era. Belle Epoch era.
Oh, hence the lies part. I get you now.
Oh, Liza P. Pinocchio.
We're brothers.
Interesting. So it's cool that it's a Souls-like game. Obviously, I'm a big Souls fan, so I won't play it probably, but it I'll be interested to see though. Interested to see how this game does.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Say something. No, okay, you're back.
You good?
Yeah, you're good. So next we have Witchfire, which is going to come to early access just for the PC. That comes out on September 20th. Armed with strange weapons and forbidden pagan magic, hunt a powerful witch holding the key to your salvation. Ooh, if a witch holds the power to your salvation, that's not good. Witchfire is a dark fantasy roguelite shooter from the creators of Painkiller, Bulletstorm, and The Vanishing of Ethan Carter.
I was gonna say, what'd you say it was? Which holds your what?
Which is which? Which? Oh, holding the key to your salvation.
Yes, I was gonna say. I think a lot of married men feel that way. Just kidding.
Payday 3
Okay, go on.
is next for the PC, PlayStation 5, and the Xbox Series X and S. Now, speaking of Payday, have you played either of the first two Payday games?
No.
Have you ever heard of them?
Nope. I never had a payday because of that witch that holds your soul.
So, the
Go
Payday
on.
games are actually very fun. So you don't know anything about them?
No. I've heard
Okay.
I've heard the name Payday, but I don't know what type of gameplay it is or anything like that.
Okay, so I believe it's first person shooter, but you're a bank robber. And so it's a co-op style game where you and like your friends rob
Other bank
banks.
robbers. Cool. I like it.
And yeah, so like it's a really fun game, hence why they're coming out with Payday 3. So it's coming out this week, September 21st. Payday 3 is the much anticipated sequel to one of the most popular co-op shooters ever. Since its release, Payday players have been reveling in the thrill of a perfectly planned and executed heist. That's what makes Payday a high-octane co-op first-person shooter experience without equal. I'm kind of interested in this game. I never owned any of the Payday games, but I have played. I think I've only played Payday 2, and it is really fun. So I'll see if anybody's will play on the PC, but I'll check. I'll probably check this game out. I don't know if I'll necessarily buy it, but I'll check it out, and if it looks like worth playing, I may pick it up.
You let me know.
I will.
I'll take your word for it.
The last game we have coming out this week on the list is Warhaven for the PC. This comes out on September 21st. Warhaven is a free-to-play, big team PvP medieval fantasy warfare game. Choose your soldier, lead your squad into combat, and incarnate as a powerful incarnate as a powerful immortal to turn the tide of war.
I'm like, you can get there, Ken. You got this.
I got it. Do you ever see the gameplay for the game For Honor? It came out for the PlayStation 4 and like Xbox Series X. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of looks similar to that. Kind of like medieval fantasy warfare. Looks cool. Big team PvP medieval, free to play. Might be worth checking out. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Well, that's exciting for this week in games.
Yes. And now this week in gaming history.
This
is a pretty cool week. This past week was pretty cool. So in this past week, we have the Super Mario Brothers, the original in Japan, 38 years ago on the Nintendo. I should say the Famicom. So the Super Mario Brothers game, like Super number one.
No, wait. The like arcade one where you're like just in the pipes, or the actual like Super Mario Brothers that came with like the Nintendo.
Yep. I can't remember which box art it was now when I looked this up.
Well, if it says so, I think the original arcade one just said Mario Brothers, but if it says Super Mario Brothers,
then that would be
for the NES.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So that came out 38 years ago this past week.
I like it. All right, what else we got?
For these next two games were both released. These are the US release dates, but this one is Dave Mirra Freestyle BMX.
Ooh, okay.
That was released 23 years ago on the PlayStation.
Oh God, I'm old.
Think of that. Obviously, when we were growing up, Dave Mirra was one of, if not the biggest name in BMX biking.
Yeah, X Games legend.
So I can only imagine. I don't want to imagine. I don't want to know how old Dave Mirra is right now. Like, I wonder what he's up to. You know what I mean? You think he's still riding bikes? Yeah, look it up.
Hold on, Ken. You might not like my answer.
Is he dead?
Yeah, he's the one that I think committed suicide a few years ago.
Oh, that's
That's right.
yeah.
That's right. Remember when you said the name and you're like, I wonder what he's up to. I'm like,
He ain't up
I
to
think
much.
that was him. Wow.
That's too bad.
I thought recently he died in 2016. It's been 7 years. Holy smokes.
Wow.
That's right.
Well, still awesome. Like, sorry, we didn't know the guy, but loved watching him.
I
Awesome
loved watching
guy.
him.
Got a
Pioneer
video
of the
game.
sport. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, totally. And to think that his first video game came out back for the regular PlayStation,
23 years ago.
So that's pretty cool. So R.I.P.
Here's to Dave. We're going to
Here's to
dedicate this
Dave
episode
Mirra.
to Dave Mirra.
Yeah, this episode's dedicated to Dave Freestyle Mirra. Was that his
Freestyle Mirra?
I don't know.
I like that.
But then the next game, another one
Mhm.
of our favorites, Dragon Ball Z Boo's Fury,
Ooh,
came out for the Game
That's a
Boy
good one.
Advance 19 years ago.
Great. And that's a game that you turned me on to. The whole like
Legacy of Goku.
yeah, like 10 years ago. I'd moved back to Maine and I was looking at like some games to play for my Game Boy Advance. And you're like, hey, you should go to the store and buy Legacy of Goku. It's like an RPG style for the Game Boy Advance. I was like, what? A DBZ RPG? I'm in. And then I bought
DBZ RPG.
yeah, then I bought the second one. Then I bought Boo's Fairy. It was a good collection to own.
Yeah, really good collection to own.
I
I owned them
definitely-
as well.
I
I don't know
know.
why I didn't just lend you my version of it.
Ken, that'd be almost as bad as just downloading them and playing them as a ROM on an emulator. And we don't do that.
Never, ever, ever.
Ever.
So pretty cool week actually. Like
That is a cool week.
when I was looking it up, I
Except for
was
the-
like,
The whole bummer about Dave Mirra.
oh, that's a major bummer. That is actually a major bummer.
See, when you first brought him up, I thought you knew, like I thought you remembered, and you were just being funny until you went, "Yeah, I wonder what he's up to." And I'm like, "Oh, he totally forgot." I was like,
Yeah,
but then I
like
started
then
thinking,
it was like ringing, like coming back to me, and I'm like, this is gonna be bad. This is bad. Yeah,
and then I started thinking, I'm like, wait, I'm like, I knew it was like a famous BMX guy, and then I was like, maybe there's somebody else, but then I'm like, how many famous BMX guys are there? There's Dave Mirra and Dave Mirra.
yeah,
Anyways, and that guy from Rad.
rad.
All right, so that clears up our usual stuff. This week, since we've been gone for so long, we decided our topic we want to cover this week is games we were excited for that's coming up. And we knew that.
Yeah, like
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, like games like into 2024,
Yeah.
and like these are games that have been announced, games that we know are coming.
That we're excited for. And we were trying to figure out how many we want to come up with. And we were like, oh, let's do 3 each. But then we both realized that 2 of the games we're both super excited for. So we're like, we're going to do 5. So 2 of these we share. And then we have 3 new ones that neither the other person knows about. So Ken, would you like to go first?
Sure, I'm thinking that should we get the 2 that we share out of the way?
You tell one of them and I'll tell the other one.
Okay, so the first one that we're both excited for and looking forward to is Super Mario Wonder. That got revealed
A few months ago.
Was
it June? I think it was the June Direct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which,
And
yeah.
Looks great. It looks really cool. I mean, I of course everyone grew up with Mario. I love the Mario games more specifically. I'm a fan of the side scroller Mario games. I like the Mario games, but I've never completed like Super Mario 64, Sunshine, Odyssey. Though, like, appreciate them, love them for what they are, but just for whatever reason, the classic style Mario games are really my bread and butter and pork and applesauce and all that. So, Wonder seems like a really cool next iteration on that style. I really like that you're set in Flower Kingdom. You and I had talked about this previously, is that I never necessarily like thought of like how you're always in the Mushroom Kingdom and how these games always took place in the Mushroom Kingdom, and that the Mario universe and world is bigger than that. So now you're in the Flower Kingdom. And so I had said before, well, this is really cool because now the next game they could maybe take you to the Star Kingdom or the Leaf Kingdom and like the different kind of power-ups representing the different kingdoms, which
Yeah.
is a really cool kind of lore type thing they could do with the game. So
And
what
it's crazy
about
that we're
yeah,
like
you go.
30, well, geez, 40 years into this journey, and we're just now exploring outside of the Mushroom Kingdom. You know what I mean?
Right. And
Yeah.
obviously, games like, Odyssey and Galaxy have, gone outside of it, but it seems like they're really building onto like the lore of the home like world that
Kingdom.
kingdom that that
Yeah.
Mario takes place in.
Yeah, I'm super excited. There's tons of new like suits, which everybody loves, and like playable characters, and just like I feel like there's going to be a lot to this game. I'm super excited for it. I know you are as well. That comes out October 20th, just a few short weeks away. So I was super happy to get Tears of the Kingdom out of the way, so I could free up some time for Super Mario Wonder.
Same.
The other game we're both super excited about, we mentioned earlier because it was mentioned in this Nintendo Direct, is the Super Mario RPG remake that comes out November 17th of this year. I mean, at this point, if you aren't aware of what Super Mario RPG is, what it represents, you probably aren't listening to this podcast anyways. So, anyways, we're both super excited for that game as well. All the updates, it's going to be a lot of fun. That's a game I feel like I can play through, and as soon as I'm done, I can like play it all over again and still have like just as much fun with it. It was like so many great people were part of it, and just like the elements of it. It's a game I can just pick up and play today and would absolutely love.
Same. Yeah. And like the videos that they've shown of it, like the updated graphics and everything, obviously being the fact that it's a remake, not a remaster, this has been remade from the ground up.
Yeah.
But it looks
exactly.
like it has kept the same spirit of the original. And as we had spoken before about just even the soundtrack, the new orchestral music that they've done for it. It just sounds amazing. I mean, like I said, listening to it brings me right back to when we were kids playing it. It is such a great game. It's going to be awesome to be with Mallow and Gino again, and just to go through. It seems really cool that the tri attacks, reminds me of like Chrono Trigger with the dual and the triple techs.
That's super cool.
It's really cool, and being able to, when you time your attacks right, that was one thing that I thought was such an awesome take with a turn-based RPG. So it still made it turn-based, but there was some interaction with it. Yeah. And not only if you timed your attacks, you could time like your
defenses,
your defenses as well. So I thought there was a really cool kind of skill cap to the game that you didn't see in those kind of turn-based RPGs. So I cannot wait. I think it looks amazing. I like that they have the added boss battles afterwards, so you can refight the bosses with much higher difficulty. So there's a little end game like stuff to do after. There's post game content after you complete the game. And honestly, I remember the game being relatively like, I thought like difficult. Like I think of for me, the biggest fight that I think of that was like I remember struggling with when I was a kid was the Axum Rangers fight.
Yeah,
where you had to fight.
What did you say, the Power Rangers?
Yeah. So obviously, those they're called the Axum Rangers, and they're basically after the model after the Power Rangers. But I remember that fight being difficult.
And wasn't there one that was a reference to Final Fantasy as well? Was it Crystalis or something like that?
Yeah, so he was like the super boss. Like he was like a hidden boss at the end that that was an optional boss that you could fight. And he was very reminiscent to a Final Fantasy style boss.
Yeah. So I remember those two were probably the toughest for me as well.
Yeah.
So but
like fighting the sword, like I don't know why. Just everything about the game is so iconic. So
that lion that'll like swallow you and spit you back out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So really, really excited for it. Really looking forward to it. So now, how these next 3 games? How did you have a hard time?
A little bit. Games? Yeah. You did not though, right? Did you say you were like? Yeah. All right, you go first. What do you got? What else are you excited for?
Okay, so I guess I'll get out of the way one we'd already talked about. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. We talked about it with
Mm.
the PlayStation showcase. That Final Fantasy VII Remake was a game that I have played through, beat 100%, and I loved it. So I cannot wait for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It looks awesome. It looks incredible. I mean, I said a lot about it earlier, so I won't spend too much time on it. But yeah, really looking forward to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Nice. I played through the original Final Fantasy VII, one of my favorite RPGs and like games in general. I haven't played any of the like remakes of it, but I know you've raved about it, so I knew that makes sense that that's on your list as well. For me, this is another remake that I didn't know was coming. It's a remake and an addition to one of our favorite games. I don't even know if you knew this was coming out October 12th. River City Ransom Rival Showdown. Did you know about this?
I did not.
So it's a remake of the 2016 3DS version, but it's got updated graphics and a pre-story mode that you can play through after you beat the game. So basically, it's like the original storyline of the original River City Ransom, which is one of my favorite games. I love that game. The fact that it's like a kind of a brawler, but with RPG elements is just awesome. And I played through that one before, and so it's going to basically be the same storyline, but all updated graphics and like maneuvers and moves and stuff like that. But then
that's really cool.
Added content at the end for like a pre-story mode as well.
Have you seen
October 12th?
Oh, that comes out in October.
Yeah, it's a few weeks away.
So you've seen gameplay of it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It looks cool. Great.
It does look really good. I'll send you footage of it afterwards.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious. Do you know, is there like any multiplayer or co-op with that?
I believe so. I'm like 99% sure there's a co-op mode, just like the original.
Dude, because if there is, if you can do it like online, dude, we should do a playthrough of that.
I would imagine it's online, so
yeah,
it wouldn't really make sense this day and age to not be. But
it would. But
yeah, I was
Nintendo has done some questionable stuff sometimes.
I was doing research for this, and I'm like, man, what games are coming up besides this? And I was like, what? I was like, a new River City Ransom game? I was like, get out of here. So. But it makes sense that it's a remake. So
that's really cool. Yeah, I'll definitely look into that.
All right, cool. What's the number 4 on your list?
So number 4. So this is a DLC has been announced that's supposed to come out in 2024, and that's and because of how the size of the DLC, I'm just using that as like in place of a game, but it's for Elden Ring.
Oh, okay.
It's for the Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree. There isn't an official release date on it. What? Why are you shaking your head?
Ken, we've been 4 months without an episode.
Oh.
And prior to this, every time we had an episode for like weeks and weeks straight, there was always Elden Ring news. I thought we were finally past this, but no. At the 11th hour, Ken busts out, I'll do a Elden Ring DLC. Yeah.
So I thought that this would work out.
That counts.
So I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, it got announced like a while ago, so hopefully now that FromSoft they just came out with Armored Core 6 a few weeks ago, which was their like a big release for them. So hopefully now that Armored Core 6 is out, more details will come out for the Elden Ring DLC.
That'd be good.
So how about you?
Nice,
What's your next one?
So this one will probably surprise you, and this is one that I was like struggling for. Looking for like another game, and this is one I have. Well, this is a racing game, so I recently played through the Need for Speed Hot Pursuit remaster, which I actually downloaded it thinking it was a different Need for Speed game, but then I started playing it and I'm like, oh, it's a lot of fun. I played through and beat it. So the new Forza Motorsport game comes out October 10th. I remember when the trailer came out for it, the graphics looked amazing. This will be one I will probably obviously, if I play through it, it's going to be on the Xbox, and I'm sure it's going to be amazing on there. So I'm excited for that. It's been a while since I played like the Need for Speed game I downloaded was for the Switch. So I'll be excited to play this on the big screen and like have like a really high graphic game.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, if you're gonna buy a racing game, you should definitely either obviously have Gran Turismo or Forza, like those.
Yeah,
and especially since you have a Series X. I think it's a great idea to have Forza. That's a great pick. That's a really good pick.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right. What's number 5 on your list?
So number 5, and this one will probably be a surprise to you. So just a quick little backstory.
Okay.
Actually, it's not really a story, but something about me when it comes to gaming. I like having a game that I can play competitively, like player versus player type of game, and
Okay.
I like having a game that I can play that's a player versus PVE type of game,
Hmm.
just either a storyline game or something like that. So my big like player versus environment type game, I'd say probably is Monster Hunter. That's a game I can play, um, you know, countless hours into. It's like a RPG s type, that's Monster Hunter. But for my competitive games, it's either been say like PvP in like World of Warcraft or PvP in Destiny or some first person shooter type game to get my
Hmm.
competitive play into. Well, as I'm getting older, I don't necessarily have as much time as I used to spend in video games. I can sit down anytime and play a game like Monster Hunter. That's great.
Hmm.
But I needed a game and trying to think like what can satisfy that kind of player
Itch.
versus player itch, that competitive itch without needing to feel like I need to be so invested, like World of
Yeah.
Warcraft. Like if I can't play for like a month or something, all of a sudden I feel behind and everything, like it's
Mm.
just so daunting to get back into it. So we talked about fighting games a little
Uh-oh.
earlier. So for me, I've always really liked the Tekken series when it comes to fighting
Oh.
games. And I believe it's in January 2024. The brand new Tekken game, Tekken 8, comes out. And so like I said, I've played Tekken 2, Tekken Tournament, Tekken Tag Tournament 2, I think it came out. Played a whole bunch of different Tekken games throughout. Really like those fighting games. So I think that when Tekken 8 comes out, I'm really looking forward to that. I think I'm going to just focus primarily on my competitive gaming time that I have
Hmm.
on with trying to get good at a fighting
A fighting
game,
game. Nice.
and I want it to be Tekken 8.
Tekken, I always liked. I thought Tekken was a pretty cool series as well. I've
Yeah,
probably played more Mortal Kombat than any other fighting game, but I did like Tekken quite a bit as well. So good pick. I like it. That's a good game.
thanks. And
All right.
it was tough because the new Street Fighter game just came out, but
Mm,
Street Fighter's awesome. I have nothing against Street Fighter, but Tekken, I always just thought the combat and the fighting was better in that. So
cool. Cool. So final game on my list I'm looking forward to, January 18th, also a January game, and this was actually mentioned in the Nintendo Direct as well. The new Prince of Persia game, The Lost Crown. I loved Prince of Persia, Sands of Time, the one that came out for
yep.
the GameCube. And I haven't, they're on my list, but I haven't played the sequels to it. But then when I saw that this one was a side scroller, that's what really drew me to it. I was like, oh, and that's where I kind of was like, oh, this reminds me of the new Metroid Dread. It's like new art style, but it's in like a traditional side scroller environment. I think it looks really cool. It's one I will most likely pick up. But I'm looking forward to this one as well. I just thought that the style of it looked pretty cool.
Mm. Yeah, it did. It
So,
definitely looks cool. Prince of Persia. I watched you play through Sands of Time, and
mm.
thought it was great. I know that the I think it was a sequel to Sands of Time that actually got an M rating
Ooh.
that got good reviews. And yeah, Prince of Persia. It's honestly it's a game franchise that I've been very happy to see has actually stuck around.
Mm.
Obviously, because it was on the regular Nintendo, and we didn't see anything again from it until Sands of Time.
There was a Super Nintendo one as well.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah, the only reason I knew that is you off air. I was making a list on IGN of games I've played through, and I just happened to come across it when I was looking through games that were released for the Super Nintendo. So it was
interesting.
similar style to the original, like a little bit updated graphics, but it was a side scroller as well, like the first one. But yeah, I like that they're kind of going back to some of these that like really made some notoriety in the 3D environment, and then they've kind of like reverted back to a 2D side scroller, but with like super enhanced graphics. I think it looks pretty cool. So
Yes, so like they have like they call it Metroidvania style of games, right? So like
mm,
Metroid or Castlevania style
Castlevania,
of
that's another
games.
great series.
I There's a Castlevania game that I really would like to play through at some point is Castlevania Symphony
Symphony of the Night.
of the Night.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd watched a little bit of a playthrough, and I didn't realize and I guess I've only played a handful of like Castlevania games, and what I mean, it's because I've rented them, and have played through them. When I say play through, I just like very little bit, but Symphony of the Night has some RPG type elements to it, which I found really cool. So I don't know if this Prince of Persia game is kind of like a Metroidvania type style of a Prince of Persia game, but I don't know. But yeah, it looks cool. So I'm excited to hear how
they like said in the direct, like there are things you'll learn, like new abilities and stuff you learn along the way. So I'd imagine it's gonna have some sort of elements like that. But either way, it looked pretty cool. I'm excited for it. So I'm really excited for, well, obviously the first two we talked about, I'm super excited for. Next on the list would be the River City Ransom game. And then Prince of Persia, and then the Forza Motorsports.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, good picks.
Thank you. Likewise, broski. Likewise. So there we have it. We're back after 4-month hiatus. Dude, it was so good to be back. I miss doing this so much. And part of the reason we had such a long hiatus is right after we got back into the swing of things, we recorded episode 21, and I literally uploaded everything to the web, and the next day my computer died. Like, just completely shit the bed. And so it's taken a little while to kind of get back in the swing of things. I know, like, we both have stuff going on with work that we are transitioning through. So I'm glad to be back. This will hopefully continue now on a weekly basis going forward. So, I'm excited. We'll have some great content coming next week, and we'll go from there, guys. Ken, anything else you want to add?
Just glad to be back, as we say every time we've had taken a quick recess. You know, it's always a great to be back, and like I said, it's like riding a bike again. So it's great to sit here. It's great to reach out to millions of listeners. Really looking forward to the emails that we're going to be getting. So so keep it up, and we'll see you. We'll see you next week.
See you on the flip side.
And with that being
channel,
same bro time.
We're brothers.
We're brothers.